Hi, I'm Chris, medical doctor from Scotland, and I'd like to summarise a book, Measure What Matters by Doerr. Now goals should actually come with warnings, because they often have unintended effects, such as causing a dramatic, systematic shift in an organisation, narrowing a focus. At times even unethical behaviour can occur, increased risk-taking and decreased cooperation, which can potentially decrease motivation. Therefore, use particular care when applying goals in your organisation. It mentions a Deloitte study in which it found that there's no single factor has more impact than clearly defined goals that are written down and shared freely, as goals can create alignment, clarity and job satisfaction. Now, when reading this book, the acronym you'll come across a lot is OKR, Objective Key Results. An objective is what has to be achieved. They're significant, concrete, action-orientated, and ideally inspirational. Aspirational OKRs are the high-priority goals in the company that you're going to do after the OKRs you've already committed to. Key results benchmark and monitor how the team is progressing towards these objectives. So effective KRs are specific, time-bound, aggressive, yet realistic. Within OKR, the aim is to focus, align, track, and then stretch. And at times, the book refers to these as superpowers, in which an OKR has the ability to really commit a team to a given priority, align this, and use the collective focus to achieve great gains. Peter Drucker is mentioned, and in which he said a basic truth about human error is when people help to choose the course of action, they're more likely to see it through. And this is basically what the book is calling AKRs. With collective goal setting, less is more. So remember that goals are the servants to our purpose, not the other way round. So don't stubbornly hold to an outdated projection. Instead, at times you have to strike through and, more importantly, learn why that old objective wasn't achievable. So there's a fair bit about YouTube. Now, not the type of product I'm doing, but more the big hairy goal of YouTube, which was to get every day 20% of TV viewing. And this appeared too much, particularly when you're said, oh, this is 1 billion hours. But what is that? Well, they managed to use this as an objective and motivate the team and actually succeed. When you're thinking about managing people, often you get annual reviews of performance, and these aren't very good if things are not going well. So the book's advocating a continuous performance management, in which if you're managing somebody, you would say these 5 questions. What are you working on? How are you doing? How are the OKRs coming along? Is there anything impeding your work? What do you need from me to be more successful? And how do you need to grow to achieve your career? Annual reviews are useful for looking at compensation, for example, or bonuses. I like this interesting company called Zoom Pizzas, in which it explained robots are actually making the pizzas themselves, and they're even being cooked in the truck when it's getting delivered to the person who's ordered it. It's actually worth Googling this, because it seems they abandoned that. But it had a fair bit about the strategy of how this business came up, and it was a small company aiming for a meritocracy, in which they would actively look for dissent to bring up to the surface any issues so that these could be dealt with. A word of advice: think like a manager early in your career, and by that your career often will start, you'll do work yourself and you'll do well, and you'll be judged by the quality of the work that you produce. Then, shifting, you'll suddenly be managing other people. More and more you'll be managing them. And then suddenly you'll actually be judged by how good the quality of your management is in terms of the output of your staff. And this is quite a dramatic shift that happens, but nobody tells you this has suddenly changed. So what the temptation is, people think, oh, it's getting busy, I'll just work harder, I'll just work harder. That may work as an individual, but when you're high up in management, very much you yourself have a limit to how much more hard work that you can put in. So be aware of that. And if you do become in this situation, the counterintuitive advice is just to stop, think, and actually see what's in front of you so that you can navigate the best way forward for yourself and your team to obtain the high priority goals. So that's the book. The last thing I'll say is that the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk at all. So feel free to comment, like and subscribe, and I shall see you next time. Take care.